Morning everybody. Sorry about the wobble. It should stop in a minute. Okay, I'm just going to show you how to make a cheap alternative to masking fluid. Now, I'm not necessarily recommending that you use this instead of masking fluid. If you've got masking fluid, then use that. It's the best thing to use. I'll show you what I mean by masking fluid. This one here, sorry about the squeak. Okay, masking fluid. It's used for masking out white areas or areas of colour that you want to reserve in watercolour. So it's basically a block, so that when you paint over it and then you remove it, the undercolour is revealed. Excuse me. So if you can't get hold of this or whatever, then you need to think of alternative ways. Now, the original masking fluid was wax, and you'd use a wax candle or a crayon or whatever. White children's crayon will do it. But the thing is that remains on the paper. You can have a go at ironing it off once you've finished your painting, but it does remain. The residue remains, and you can get permanent masking fluid in containers like this that also remain on the paper. This, however, this stuff you remove by rubbing off it. When you paint it on and it dries, it goes hard, and then once you finish your painting, you rub it off slowly and it peels off like glue that's set on your fingers peels off your fingers. So use this, but if for some reason you can't get out of the house, you don't have a computer, whatever, and you haven't got any masking fluid, then of course you can use a candle. You can use a crayon, like I said, but a tip that I received just recently was that you can use deodorant, hard deodorant. So any kind of stick deodorant like this will do, and all you need to do is just shave off a little bit like this. And if you've got an oil burner, it's ideal, right? Because you need to melt it. However, if you haven't, a little tea candle or a tea light with one of these tins over the top. So if you've got a little candle like this, then you can put that over the top like that, or you can do it in a pan. You can also melt it in a microwave, but you can see how quickly it melts in this oil burner. So you want to reduce it back to its liquid form, like so. And then you can use it. So once it's at that state, you can blow your candle out. Okay. And then obviously you can reform it. It'll go back to its hard form within a few minutes. You can re-melt it, do whatever you want to do with it. So put this, then I use a colour shaper. This is a tool that's used for blending pastels and charcoal. I find them really useful because they're plastic, they've got a point on them, so if this stuff dries on here, I can get it off. Whereas if you use a brush, it'll just dry rock solid on your brush and you definitely can't get it off. So don't use your brushes. Find something else. So a colour shaper. You can get special masking fluid pens and brushes. I often use the end of a feather or a cotton bud or something like that. Okay, so just going to have a slurp of coffee. So use a piece of watercolour paper, take the melted deodorant and just have a play with it and just see if it works. There are other recipes online for using different masking, making different masking fluids. I'm not sure whether you have to leave this to dry, but it looks like it's drying off reasonably quickly. The difficulty with most masking fluids is that they're white. This one is good, this one by Terry Harrison, because it's got a blue tint into it. You can tint masking fluid with a little bit of cerulean blue. That's cerulean blue watercolour. Added a little drop to your original white masking fluid and it will tint it for you. Only use cerulean blue, don't use anything else. Try it in a little pot first with a couple of drops just to make sure, because you don't want it to stain your paper. All the other blues stain, you see. Okay, so I'm just going to waft this around a bit, just let it dry off. I should probably use a hairdryer to dry it off, but I haven't got one set up. So like I said, this is used to reserve whites. So if you've got a sailboat in the water, and it's a white sailboat and you want to paint the sea and you want it to be even and not look like you're painting up to the edge and then painting over it, then paint your boat out using masking fluid or this stuff. It's actually set, I can feel that now. And then what you can do is freely paint your sea or your sky or whatever you're painting over it and then remove it later. Okay, so bit of blue over the top, and there you have it. So you can see it has reserved the white, so it's resisting. It's called a resist. So you may have all heard of wax resists, which is what you do as kids with fireworks painting at school. So you can see that that has worked really well actually. So have a go. Like I said, I don't necessarily recommend it if you're doing a magnificent watercolor painting and it's a commission and all that sort of stuff. You don't really know how long this is going to last or whether it's going to discolor, which is the other thing. I would use some professional masking fluid, but if I'm just experimenting, playing around, painting paintings that are maybe birthday cards or whatever, you know, just general messing about with watercolor, and you want to experiment with wax resist, then why not have a try the deodorant method. Okay, have fun, be safe, use an oil burner if you've got one, ideal, and please leave comments and suggestions if you've got any other tips on how to use masking fluid and how to make masking fluid. Let me know. Thanks for watching. Bye.